think most of you know who I am. I hope you do. My name is Salvatore Calabrese. I've been in this industry now for over 50 years, that's for sure. And
1-5, no?
yeah, 1-5. Yes, I know. I look very young. And I've been operating many bars. Some of the most iconic bars that a lot of people talk about: the Duke's Bar in London, in St James Street, the Library Bar, the Lanesborough, my own bar, 50 St James, and then from there I start to spread my brand from Hong Kong to Las Vegas, Los Angeles, London, and I work in many different consultation. And I love what I do, and I hope I can share a few things with you. And today I'm working on a new project, which you all going to hear about it. And so here we are.
Hey everybody, my name is Steve Schneider from Employees Only. I've been bartending full-time for 15 years now, and just in June of 2016, I opened my first place, also called Employees Only in Singapore. And a couple months ago, I opened up the Strangers Club in Panama, which is also mine and my partner's. And I'm a shareholder of Employees Only Hong Kong as well. So these days, I'm still behind the bar full-time, but I'm really thinking more like an operator these days. And my job is to go around to these venues and basically build it and create little bartending marines, if you will. So that's pretty much who I am in a nutshell.
After all, it was a Marine.
I was. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
But Steve, why would you do it? Why wouldn't you open a bar in Chicago or DC or Miami or LA? Why would you go to Panama? Why would you go to Singapore?
The United States is crazy, man. I had to get out of there. You know, take it from me as an American, my God. People are nuts over there. No, but honestly, we had an opportunity in Singapore. We knew people out there that have been very successful that we've worked with in the past. So for 4 years, we went out and looked for a venue. And, you know, it just had to be the right venue. You don't want to open a place just because you can or because somebody's going to throw some money at you. You can't just pick anything because it won't be like personal. It won't be yours. It won't be your concept and your vision and your feeling. So after looking for 4 years, we finally decided that this one place that we walked in was just the perfect fit. And of course, you know, the money, the market, the competition, you know, everything just kind of made sense. And I could see myself kind of hanging out in Singapore for a bit. So in a nutshell, it just felt right. And I reached a point in my career after 15 years, and I was managing the bar at Employees Only for so long, I reached a breaking point of like, I want to create this one bar in my vision, and I need to be the most senior guy on staff. And I had that opportunity, I jumped on it.
Okay. Salvatore, for you, was it financially driven? Was it like a dream coming true? Was it, what was the main?
I think you have to understand the philosophy of us. I think as a bartender, we have a different dreams, many dreams actually. One, to immortalize ourselves with a great cocktail that in 100 years somebody is still talking about, or having a bar maybe with your name on top. So, you know, you start to dream, and that dream sometimes becomes to be reality. And I've been blessed because I managed to do both. And when the opportunity came to me, especially with the Salvatore 50 St James, you know, my partner at the time, he said, okay, what do you want to call it? And I was looking and search for a name. And then my partner said, well, let's call what people ask for, your name, you know, because when I was at the library, a lot of people used to put my name always in front of the place. Let's go to Salvatore at the library bar. And that's what makes somebody, you know, almost to say, okay, an iconic in my own ways, because people would come for who I was, and what I create in that environment: hospitality, great drinks, the culture, having fun. Really, you know, whenever I say the bar is one of the greatest theater that anyone could encounter, I managed to do that. And so when the opportunity came to me, that's what I did. I embraced my name. I embraced what I was all about, and I create an incredible team again, and making sure that whoever came into that place had an experience. And that's very, very important, because, you know, what Stephen said, you know, it's all very well we can all search for something, but sometimes we can search and find something, but if we don't give the experience, the ultimate experience for somebody to come in and visit you, or, you know, the place will soon go. I learned one thing very, very quickly in my life when I started this industry: look after the house, and the house will look after you. And that's something that we should never forget.
Sultan, Steve and Salvatore run bars that are like thousands of kilometers away. I think Vienna and Budapest is like 200 or so. So was that a different point of view?
House to house, 265 kilometers. And it takes 2.5 hours by car, 3 hours by train. No, my first intention, well, I wanted to make money. It's okay. Obviously, when I opened boutique, for me it was a huge professional pride to bring something to Budapest that was not there. I used to work 5 years in London, 5 years in Spain, in Barcelona, next to Barcelona actually. I born in Romania, so I lived 15 years there. So when someone asks where I'm from, I always say I'm citizen of Earth. So, and in 2017, I believe distance is not distance anymore. So in Budapest, when I started to do boutique, my intention was to bring something from London. So everything that we did, and thank you to this lovely gentleman, I've been to your place many times, and one of my most favorite drinks in Budapest at the moment, or it was one of your drinks. You gave me the recipe at one time, so we're selling a lot of it. And but soon I understood that Budapest is very small. The industry would not ever come to Budapest, as it goes to you, for instance, to Belgium, or it goes to Holland, or it goes to anywhere else. So we're a bit, somewhere there on the back. It's Budapest, Slovakia, Czech Republic. It's a bit forgotten in Poland. It's a bit forgotten in our world. So my intention to go to Vienna, it was to step on a market where I can make something different. And Vienna, it's an amazing city. Vienna and Budapest used to be like the capitals, two capitals of an empire before. So Budapest is pretty much like Vienna, or Vienna is pretty much like Budapest. And it has an amazing bar scene. The oldest still operating bar is from 1927. And there are like many bars, but no one does the way that I've seen in employee only. No one does the way that you can see in London. So what Vienna does is very strict, very squared, and very narrow-minded, in my opinion. So I'm not saying they're doing wrong. I'm saying that it's really sticking to the old school, which is quite good if you like the old school. But I believe nowadays people are looking for something different. So if someone asks for an old-fashioned, probably doesn't want to be taught how an old-fashioned should be made. Or this is my move to Vienna.
And do you adapt to local culture, which is maybe not so different between Budapest and Vienna, but I can imagine that the culture between Hong Kong and Vegas is slightly different, and the same as Panama and New York. So do you just copy and paste your existing recipes, or do you really listen to local produce, and what do you do with that?
There is a saying in Vienna. If you go to Vienna ever, probably one of the first 10 sentences you would hear, it would say Wien is anders, which means that Vienna is different. And I believe that attitude is in Vienna. So I went there very arrogant, to be honest with you. I went to bars and I told them like, hey guys, it's not the way you should do cocktails anymore. And so soon I became a person that people do not like in Vienna. So, and now I'm very smooth, I'm very nice, I'm talking only sweet to people. And I cannot adapt. I cannot take what I've done in Budapest and take it to Vienna, because it's different. So the whole business is built a bit the same, but with a completely different mentality that is in Budapest.
Well, to answer your question, yes, I have experience internationally in many different places. And I think it's important, I mean, I'm sure Stephen will agree with that, you want to bring something that is yours, right, to a new home, but you learn about the home, the new next home. It's not point to say I'm arrogant, I'm good at what I'm doing, and this is what I'm going to bring. Either you like it or you leave. There is an old say, the art of bartender. We should learn geographically what we have around us. That means if I run a bar, I need to learn what is next door to me, A, as a reference, and B, what the culture of the place is. So when I went to Hong Kong, I started to learn about what the taste of a Hong Kong will be all about. It's no point for me to bring something sweet and sour when they like bitter, or maybe I bring something that is bitter and they like sweet and sour. What I do, I try to introduce what I think is great, but little bit, And the most important thing that I try to do is to create the soul of the place. The soul with the mentality of the people who are around me. In Vegas, it was the same. It is the same. Vegas is a very hard city to work at because the competition is hard and everybody search what is the best next thing. And so the same sort of thing is applicable. You learn what people want. You start to say, okay, Vegas is the city never sleep. So why would I want to do something that I put people to sleep? So I want to do something that I want to wake them up. So I create a culture, or I create a cocktail menu which has a selection of coffee cocktail, but done in a different from anybody else, done with a mocha pot. And create a serve by saying, right, this is unique to my bar, to Vegas. So whenever we have Negroni Svegliato or Madame Mocha or whatever it is, it was served in different ways with a coffee pot and served to the table. So you create a kind of, it fits with the place, so people, trust me, when I did that for 3 days, I didn't sleep because my eyes was well awake. Maurizio, one of my bartender, he was with me experimenting those cocktails. So, you try to always to work for what you have.
One thing I learned is that specs is bullshit, okay? From all these places, like someone tells you their specs for a whiskey sour. If I make it in Singapore, it's going to taste different than when I make it in Panama, when I make it in New York. I did bring over all of our cocktails from employees only. I have them in a master binder, of all the drinks that we have, both classics and also employees only originals. And I had to make all of them and tinker with all of them. It's a lot more tart lime juices in Singapore than it is in New York. So I have to change it up. Gin is 40% and for some in Singapore, while I'm using 46%. In Panama, they like things a bit sweeter and a lot more strong. So, I'll make a daiquiri, right? And I'll be like, this tastes great. And then I'll hit it with another little bit of rum, and I'll hit it again with sugar. Too sweet, okay, it's good. That's just what the people like, Whether it's, I'm not the one to judge if it's too sweet or not. If the person across is digging it, that's all I care about. One of my first mentors taught me, you can be right or you can be rich. So whatever it takes to make people happy. But in that same regard, after working, a year in Singapore, I go back and work my first shift in New York, and someone orders a round of Amelia's, which is vodka with blackberries, elderflower, and lemon juice. And I'm like, oh shit, where am I? What specs am I using? Okay, New York specs. But at first, I was just making the Singapore style. And the drink would come up this much in the glass, It wouldn't even be a full drink. I would be so embarrassed. A lot of the drinks, too, the recipes in Singapore, I've altered the size, especially the stirred drinks. And that's strictly a money thing. Booze is very expensive in Singapore, so I had to alter recipes in order to make money. Change the glassware around so it still looks good. Just make things work. As long as you know on paper how much everything costs and what your return is going to be, it's still a damn good drink. It's just a little bit smaller, still balanced, still proportionate to the New York recipes. So these are things I had to learn on the fly. I didn't have a lot of time. We opened in 76 days after we broke ground. We opened, so I had to do everything. So I didn't have a lot of time to sort this shit out. But to follow up on what Salvatore said, my main concern when I first started both of these bars was to train the bartender on the esprit de corps, the ethos, how to stand tall, how to look somebody in the eye, how to carry yourself, how to move your ass, you know? That for me is the most important trait in a bartender. I could teach any asshole how to make a cocktail, you know? It's about the other things, it's about how to carry yourself, how to be humble yet the boss back there, you know what I mean? And that's, I think, is one of my greatest joys is to see a young apprentice of mine, a bartender I trained, transform into being a drink-making machine into a fucking bartender, you know? That's kind of my greatest joy, and that's my greatest passion. And I'm going to keep opening these bars while I can still bartend at a high level, because the only way to really teach these guys is to like be there next to them and show them, you know?
And now we're talking about stuff. How goes recruitment? Or do you start with like a part of your stuff from your hometown that you transfer to your new venue? Or do you recruit stayed away in the country of your new bar?
The staff?
Yeah.
Well, the staff, well, for us in Singapore, it was a legal thing. In order for us to get a permit, for me to get a work permit, you have to employ a certain amount of Singaporeans. And that opens up a work permit. You have a quota, you pay enough retirement, you pay enough taxes, then you get another option for another working pass. And for us, it was me and Igor and Rachel and Owen and our chef. We had to get 5 passes, so we had to stock up on Singaporeans. The thing is, in Singapore, the unemployment rate is very, 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 very low, if not non-existent. So it's very easy to find a new job if you're not happy, because people are dying to take in Singaporeans. Same thing with Panama as well. There's a lot of Venezuelans and Colombians that are willing to work, and the Panamanians will be a bit on the lazier side, you know? I'm not saying Singaporeans are lazy, not by any sense. They're actually turned out to be my favorite and my biggest passion of that, and the fact that when I left Employees Only Singapore, I knew that the expats were going to come, we're going to go. But it's about the local Singaporeans there. Employees Only Singapore is for the Singaporean market. It's for the Singaporean kids that are working there moving forward. If I want that place to last forever, it's got to be in the hands of Singaporeans. And that's been my main focus and my main, pride and joy.
Salvatore?
Well, I think it's obvious that if you go into somebody's home, you try to make sure that you are part of their home, and therefore you're trying to employ as many people as possible, local people. And, there is a kind of a way to say, what makes a great leader? A great leader is not the one who will say, do what I tell you, right? And that's the end of it. I always say, to be a great leader or great manager, it is the one that he say, it's me with you. It's not me and you, all right? So straight away you break that barrier in a way that you make people feel comfortable to work with you, and then you're training. Anything is about training. Training and give a passion. If you're able to give a passion to somebody, then there is a reaction. Then the reaction is always, they don't want to leave you because they feel the part of something great. And it doesn't really matter if you're 1,000 miles away. You leave the roots and you try to find another leader who understands what you do, how you do it, and what makes it special. And we all, each one of us, has a different style of leadership. The only thing we should never lose is to make sure that we're caring. And if we are caring, and doesn't matter how far somebody is, there is that reaction. And the reaction is always, I want to be here because I like to be here. And then you train the people to say, this is the way we do. What Stephen would say, you teach people how to be an artist at work. That means you give an art of mixologist, that's easily to be done. But then you have to give it something different. Now you have to give the art of hospitality. And trust me, from country to country to country, that change. Change because of the culture. Change because in Hong Kong, people, they are not very overwhelming. They're not Italian. They're very quiet, very, respectful. And therefore, they have their own manner. You can't change that. actually you embrace that you're making sure that as long as they smile, as long as they care of what they do, and then it's great,
Also, sorry, just also what I mentioned earlier in my presentation is to getting your staff or your training to buy into what you're doing, to believe in what you're doing, to take pride in what they're doing. Don't just tell them what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. Tell them why you're doing what you're doing. Why are you out there? Why should they be doing this? Why should they be doing that? And if you get them to believe in your cause and in your message and in your product, they're going to take a lot more pride and they're going to have a lot more respect for you. And respect, I think, in any industry goes a long way. Right?
Absolutely. And before we go to Zoltan, I read an article a few weeks ago about CEOs, and apparently there are two types of CEOs. The CEOs who know how they do it, and the CEOs who know why they do it. And apparently, the CEOs that know why they do something are much more happier than the ones that know how they do something.
I think happiness comes from inside. So they say if you live in London, you don't care about the weather because the weather is always raining, so you don't have to care about the sun. In Budapest or in Hungary, you come, people always talk about, oh my God, it's too hot. I say, yeah, it's middle of August. Oh my God, it's too cold. Yeah, it's middle of December. So don't moan about things. If you want to be happy, just be happy. It doesn't matter if it rains or does anything. But turning back to these fine gentlemen, what they say, I believe that if you use the word employee or employer, you straight away just generate a subordinate relation between you and your staff. And I always tried to refer to them as my colleagues or as my friends. Although, there's a fine line between being a good boss and being a good friend, because not everyone, keeps up that relation. Although it's it's a work, we still have to do a lot of things. But yes, in Hungary, I was very fortunate because I was never probably from the very beginning I said I'm not going to employ Hungarian bartenders, and the reason for that was because most of them just said they know everything. So in my opinion, when you come to the point you say I know everything, you lost something. So that's you cannot know everything just because not. In Vienna, although, I'm very fortunate again because most of the staff working in the catering industry is Slovakian, Czech, and Hungarian. So embracing Austrians, it's unbelievably difficult because no one wants to work, no one wants to do this shitty job, because in their eyes, to serve someone, it's a service job. Being in a monarchy, being in, like Vienna has this different attitude, so I want to make it as international as I can.
Now, regarding staff, we have to trust people, but how about finances when you're like a few thousand kilometers away?
I was having this talk with Igor. We were both in New York. Igor is my business partner, who's one of the founders of Employees Only New York, and a mentor of mine. And I was his barback, and then we were bartenders together, still worked for him, and now we became partners. So our relationship has really grown throughout the years, and it's been quite awkward at the beginning to have a former boss be your partner now. So there's I said some things after opening to him that I would have never thought I would ever say to him, but we had to be done. But as far as we were having a little meeting and we looked at the P&L for the past few months we've been away, and the numbers were better. And we think it's because of us not being there drinking all the stock, but to be honest, but again, that goes to proper training. You have to get somebody in there that believes in what you're doing and knows how to work the numbers, and you could easily monitor that now. It's not. I'm not really worried. I could tell you the sales going on right now in Employees Only Singapore. I could pull it up right now. I could pull up the freaking cameras if I need. I don't do that anymore. I have a lot of confidence in the whole team to get the job done, and I don't want to be that overbearing boss. That's going to be breathing down your neck. I'm going to give you every opportunity to make something of yourself, to make something. I'm going to give you this platform. I'm going to give you this opportunity, I'm not going to cook my staff fish, and then tomorrow they're going to starve. I'm going to teach them how to fish, and it's up to you. If you're hungry, go freaking fish and get it, make it happen. And that's my kind of approach. Really fair, stern, and, just a kind of empathetic boss, if you will.
Well, you know, I think you hit most of the ground, but the most important thing is trust. You give a trust, you give a care, you making sure that they have a direction, because being a boss is great, being an owner is the one that you know that you have to look after every aspect of the business. You know, the PLL, it's very easy for me to say, okay, I've done it, you know, but I could have never done this, what I have done today, without a great team. I could not be the maestro that each one of you would call me unless my team would love to play the music that I like to play. So it's, you know, you can never be bigger than the place. You can only be as good as your team will perform. So you give it that love, you give it that trust, you give it that direction, and above all, the most important thing that there is for me, that if I have a great person in front of me, I will embrace that person. I will making sure that that person will grow, and eventually he will have his own bar, or he will have his own brands, or he will have a career that I have helped him, because somebody else has helped me to be who I am. I think what is important is it's not one, but it's about all of us.
Zlatan?
Well, it's better to talk the last in this line, because this, as I said, this fine gentleman pretty much saying what I'm saying. I have when anyone starts to work with me, the very first thing I say, listen, anything that you do in this bar would affect me, and anything I do in this bar would affect you. So if you come in worried about something and not sharing that worry with me, everyone would be worried in a while. I mean, even if the slightest, but something would happen there. And the same thing, if I go in, I'm mad, which I was quite often in the past when I didn't know how to manage my, yeah, I am, how to manage my anger. Everything came from frustration that I couldn't communicate enough. So communication, for instance, for me was something that I had to learn along the way. But for the very first day that I started the boutique, I said, if someone wants to steal, it would steal. If someone wants to take your money, it would take, doesn't matter how vigorously or how attentively you pay attention to all your costs. We all been bartenders. We all, probably not all of us, but most of us have done a bit of side, pocket money here and there. So you know that if you just cheat half a cent of something, in 5 drinks you have another drink and you can sell, and then it goes to your pocket. So if you want to steal, you're going to steal anyways. So I always started off with people, listen, this is what I do, this is what we stand for. If you want to be part of this thing, please do. If not, you would fail anyway. So the team would push you out. The team would make sure that you're not going to belong to this part. And luckily, or probably someone helped me from somewhere, that person, the system always threw that person out who was not proper. So I believe, if you do a team, you have to trust your team. The last person to the top, to the weakest person, the top person, because there's no job in the team that it's not as important as being the head bartender or being the owner. Because if the back barback it's a person that doesn't know how to do his job properly, then it affects the whole team. So
definitely. Now we're talking money. When you want to open another bar, you just take 500K of your bank account and invest, or do you need investors around you, or do you go to the bank, or and if you need investors, how about the shares?
I am very low profile bar owner, so most of my place I actually make a joke out of how much I would like to spend to open a bar. For instance, my coffee shop I opened out of 25,000 euros. My bar at the first, we kind of fucked up the construction, so it was a bit more expensive, but it was 115,000 euros. The restaurant that I have in Vienna, it was managed by my partner. He had 2 other partners, so I stepped into the business, but we spent something like 220. And the bar, now that's something, we lost so far 190,000 euros, which is lost. Because of bad management, of bad timing, and because we didn't have enough money to open the place, and we trusted the banker who literally pulled out in the last minute. And then, everything started to go sour, and so far we're a bit down the gutter, but I'm fairly positive that we're going to make the money back.
Well, every one of us opens a bar in different ways. I mean, for me, my bar's always been quite luxurious, quite expensive, and I've been blessed many ways that I have always find somebody who has trust in me to be my partner and be investors. I have another, obviously, that's on my side, but then I have another company called the Calabrese House, which is run by both of my sons, and they are my partner. And we have 5 very big venues in London, which one is about as big as this hall. Both of them actually. So, and they have a different mentality, my sons, and they run their business really very cleverly in that respect. So each one of us has a way to open up a bar. What is important is not how luxurious you do it, and what kind of budget you're going to go, or how much money you're going to spend. What is important that you open up a place that you are comfortable with. And obviously there is a cost. And the most important thing that if somebody trusts you with their money, you give them what their investment is all about. And you try your best in many different ways. Like you, at the moment, facing a bit of disruption, but we all go through disruption. No business is hunky-dory. Only because you open up the door and the place is full, you think about you making the money. You might make money, but then you have somebody who does not know how to run the cost of that operation and doesn't put together the right PLO, and that's when you're going to start to lose money. So you could be the most successful bar in the world, but if you don't know how to look after the penny, guys, when I say look after the penny, because the penny will be the pound tomorrow, because you budget. You open up a place and you start to think about every aspect to open a place. What cost to operating, to build the place, and I know that if I have to spend £1 million, it might be 1.1. If I need to pay the rent, it will be that much. So you calculate everything, but then you forget the straw. Then you forget the glassware. Then you forget the little things that are really going to hurt you at the end of the day, because that little things affects your GP. So what I'm saying, whenever it's your business, you make sure that you're looking at absolutely everything in black and white. That will be the true, success of any business.
I told this story a little bit earlier, but I'll kind of get deeper in there this go-round. But about 4 years ago, I had less than $100 in my bank account, but I was making a ton of money. New York City bartender, crushing it. Bar managing employees only at the lowest pour cost we've ever had, the highest, profit margin we've ever done. I had all the tools to make it happen. I was just living like an asshole, Looking at my bank account, I was like, hell, if I could handle the money at this bar, I need to handle my own damn money, So what I did was, I kept track. I pretty much did a P&L of my life, I looked at all the unnecessary spending I was doing. I looked at all the monthly bills from phone, Netflix, other websites. I was just kidding. But no, seriously though, on a serious note, I looked at everything. I looked at exactly what I was spending per month and how much I was making, and I was like, I should have so much more money right now. So I saved. I ate freaking cheap microwave ramen, for freaking 4 years. I saved up every damn dime I could. Stopped going out, at least stopped going out where I had to pay. I had to call up a brand ambassador every now and then. Hey, you want to go grab a drink tonight? Yeah, I'll totally drink your product. What is it again? Okay. I'm making more jokes, but seriously, I saved every damn dime I could and kept track of it. And several years later, when we're at this meeting, a budget meeting about Singapore after we found a location, I'm sitting with the investors, right? The guys that have been to Employees Only New York, the guys that believe in what we do. and they wanted to kind of throw in some money. These guys have, you know, billionaires, you know. I'm sitting there at a table with these guys, you know, intimidating as hell, right? And they became billionaires for a reason, because they don't just give their money to anybody, you know what I mean? So we're sitting there about how much we need, X amount, and this is how much more we had left that people were willing to bring to the table, and I had that money saved. And it wasn't that much, but it was enough. It was enough to put my balls on the table and say, I want to invest the rest of it. It was all the money I had. I was like, I felt so good about the project. I'm like, guys, I have that money. It was $75,000. That's I put it in. It was a small percentage, but hell, it was something. And one of our main investors, the wealthiest guy at the table, said, I like this fucking guy. I'm in. Whatever you need, let me know. The other guy, yeah, we're in. All right. You want to put your own ass on the line? I respect that. And that, for me, went a long way. And lo and behold, 9.5 months after we opened, all those guys were paid back, and I was paid back. We paid back our investment in 9.5 months after we opened. I believe in this project. We've already had 2 disbursements. I'm having a freaking blast right now, and I'm saving all that money, ready for the next project to put a little bit more in, put a little bit more. That percentage go from 7 to maybe 10, maybe to even more than that, you know? So that's something I really learned the hard way, was about how to manage your own money and then put it on the line if you believe in something, for sure. Come Panama, me and 5 of my bartender friends from Employees Only New York, we went down to Panama to learn about rum. We had a freaking blast. We loved the place. We saved up money again, and we purchased a place, no investors. It was a $400,000 project with 8 people. There was two local partners, and then 6 of us. And that, for me, was amazing. Whether I make a lot of money, a little bit of money, it doesn't really matter at this point. The fact that I went out there and bought something and have nobody to deal with, that, in fact, was a big step in my career. And now, these are the guys that I used to manage that are now my partners, kind of like with me and Igor, you know? And I was the only guy in the team that's actually managed the bar. So they're spending like crazy, because that's what they do. You know, they want all the bells and whistles at the bar, and I got to break down the P&L, be like, guys, you can't just spend. You can't just increase the budget. This is our money here. So I think in our first 3 months, we learned a lot about money. Whereas in Singapore, we opened under budget in time. Panama, we opened over budget and in debt, you know, in a little bit of a hole. And it's hard to be dynamic when you're in debt and when you're in a hole. So I'm happy to say that we're out of debt and we're starting to save money, and a busy season's coming in November. So I can't wait to take a peek at the numbers after that.
Great. Now, looking back on your export achievements, can you tell me what was your biggest trouble, your biggest frustration, but also your biggest point of satisfaction?
My biggest point of satisfaction, I can tell you straight away. I have taken very big pride on my employees, like we're not using, or the guys that I work with, because I say if you're as good as yesterday, then I did something wrong. So you need to understand that day by day you have to add something to your life, and you have to be better. So when they leave and they say, Zoltan, listen, I think it's time to move on, I'm the happiest person to help them to get whatever. So my first question is, where would you like to move? Which country you want to go? Let me know, because at least, if not me, but one of my friends knows someone there, and then you can get. So that's my satisfaction. Money and success for me is a byproduct of the work that I do. So I'm still looking at it, and it took me a lot of years to learn that money shouldn't be the first perspective of doing something. Although it's very important, because you know without money you cannot open a place, or you can, but it would take a lot of years to start work. The biggest backlash that I have so far, it's Mr. Mendes. You know, it's this project has been going on for 3.5 years now, and opening after 3.5 years, I would have never ever imagined in my life that it would take me 3.5 years to open a place. But you know, going to a different country, you start to learn along the way. Even though you think you're prepared on legal side, you think you're prepared on administration side. Guys, those people are not prepared for you. So we live in a fast world. If you're not serving a customer now, probably tomorrow you don't have a chance to serve that customer. Probably you don't have a chance to take that money because someone else would take, because it's dog-eat-dog world in our industry. But if you go to state administration, there's no competition. You know, they even, you know, on the license we have, they sat for half a year, and half a year later they gave us the licensing. They said, well, I didn't have time to print. So, yeah, the new place is the biggest frustration. That, you know, it took me that long time, and of course, as I said, we lost a shitload amounts of money on the project.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to start with this now. My biggest disappointment, maybe when I closed one of the most iconic bar in the world, 50 St. James. I didn't close that bar for failure, because that bar was making almost £5 million a year, 110 square meter. It was the place of the world. So I was making a lot of money. But I closed it because 2008, the very first, financial crash came, and people changed the attitude. They could not be seen to go to place and spend money. And my place was attached to a gaming license, so they're moving the gaming license. So I was left with a place which I did not know what to do. So I was forced to close. But then I made my best investment with my sons, which that is the best thing that I could have done. So I was proud for that, and I see longevity with that, hopefully. We all need luck in life. And another disappointment was just lately in Hong Kong, where I opened up one of the most beautiful bars in Hong Kong. And again, you know, the partner that I went to sleep with, they opened the place without having full license. And unfortunately, you know, Hong Kong are very flexible, but commodities cost a lot of money. So a lot of people, what they do, they open up a place and then they apply for the license later, and the license was removed. So you can see, you know, sometimes, you know, you think you could do everything, but circumstance can happen to you. But then you have to look at the positive thing. You know, one thing comes down on you, then don't just bury yourself and start to say, my God, what happened, and get depression. You have to pick yourself up. And now I'm just about opening again in Mayfair, and you all going to know very soon, hopefully. So, you know, things happen for a reason. Well,
Steve?
I've been pretty lucky so far as I haven't had any major disappointments. I live out of a suitcase. I don't really have a home anymore. And it's honestly, like, I'd like to be, as much as I can, the heart and soul of my brand, you know, of employees only, whatever. I act a lot out of how I'm feeling, you know. And a lot of times I miss, like, Dwayne Reed and, like, CVS, the grocery stores, you know, the ones you're familiar with at home. You know, I miss pizza. My parents, second. Pizza first, right? You know, I just miss those little things about being home sometimes, you know, when you're on the road so much. The little easy things. Your brands of freaking deodorant, toothpaste. You know, those little things you take for granted, candy, you know. They got plenty of candy in Singapore, but I don't know what it is, you know. It's just not what I grew up with. So that kind of unfamiliarity, you know, and just not having any real stuff is kind of cool, but it's also a little bit taxing because, like, when I used to go traveling, I've trained bartenders and given little talks in 44 different countries, but my favorite was going back home to New York and sleeping in my bed. I don't have a bed no more in New York. It's Airbnb, living on my phone. So it's a bit exhausting, but it's really, really cool for a while, but eventually I want to kind of settle down and hunker down, you know? But as far as business-wise, I think I've gotten lucky, but then sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror and know what you can do and know what you're worth. And that's my biggest accomplishment and, like, most proud moment is to look at myself and say, Steve, you know exactly what you can do. You set out, you freaking did it, and nobody got in your way. You know, you made it happen yourself, you know? I know what I'm capable of now. And every time you learn, you make a couple of minor mistakes, but nothing's fucked unless, like, if the doors are still open, nothing's completely fucked. You know, the plane has not hit the mountain just yet. You'll be all right. You can still pull up. You'll be all right. But, like, you know, I know exactly what I could do after all this stuff. I don't have the tools to make the best bar in the world. I don't have the know-how. I don't have the skill set. I don't have the patience or the desire. But I have all 4 of those to make the busiest bar in the world. And that's something I'm focusing on. Every bar is busier than the next, busier than the next, and then I look at the numbers and try to make the most out of it. And that's pretty much my goal, and that's what I've been able to do thus far. EO Singapore is the busiest bar, I'd say, in Singapore, and I'm really freaking proud of that. It ain't the best, it's the busiest.
Great. Does any of you have a question for the gentleman? No? Come on, guys.
Mr. Bulgaria. Mr. Bulgaria's always got a question. I love it.
So your people talk about, I recognize that.
This is his bar.
So you people talk about opening like a chain of, it's not exactly a chain, but you open the same bar as you have at your main country, but you open it in another country, right?
I can't hear.
You don't?
I can't hear.
Should I come closer?
Very close. Come on up.
So my main question is like this. You open up another place at a different country, right? How about having a place in your own country and bringing it to international level? I mean, how do you make your... Sorry if I lost the beginning.
No.
But-
But you say, you know, we're doing outside. We've done the first our home. I opened a place in London, first of all. And what I did, I made that place in London so well known that there was an interest for other partner to come to you and say, okay, what about what happened employee only, or what happened to me in Vegas and Los Angeles and Hong Kong, or whatever it is, that you create a brand. I mean, today we are sitting here, not just to borrow you. What we're trying to say is, yes, we are a businessman, we are operator, which is important, we are bar owner in our own right, but what is important that you have to understand that we are here to talk about what we've done to make the difference. We create a brand. We create something that we, all 3 of us, has had passion. That means we create our own home in different ways. He operates his place different from mine, and he operates his place different from mine. You know, the idea is to create what people would like to see, right? And people choose, right? So we create our own brand, and we've been lucky enough to say, okay, we have an odd opportunity. The opportunity to say, okay, I'm not going to worry about to open up in Singapore or Hong Kong or in Vegas or Los Angeles or whatever it is around the world, because I'm comfortable, right? But then if you believe in yourself and you say, I have such a great brand, and in my brand I develop a team of people that I could trust. I could trust to take them and spread them, and you know, to bring my voice in Hong Kong or here in Singapore. That's what we're talking about. It's about branding. It's about that what you could do with a small place to be Montgomery. I hope that answered the question.
I think you're trying to develop a bar in Bulgaria, right? That's on an international level that could
It's
get
not
recognized.
mine. I'm part
Exactly.
of the team, but still, yeah.
Well, in Panama, it's relatively uncharted waters there. We're kind of starting it. Nobody thinks to go to Panama to go to a cocktail bar, right? Nobody, absolutely not. So what we're doing, I mean, we're bringing what we have, but we're making sure that everybody in there is having a great time, and I changed my style of drinks and my style of a lot of things to please the Panamanian market. So every time people go to Casco Viejo in Old Town Panama City, they go, where do we go? And everybody in town says that's the place you have to go. If they have to
You
start
get something
local,
Panamanian there, right?
yeah, like guerrilla marketing, really, man. You like get people, let it grow, and local. I'm sure there's some kind of writers, newspaper writers, get people to write about you there. Start small on a smaller scale. I mean, you're here at BCB. There's so many people from all over the world. Every handshake really means something. Like when you're at these events. Meet people, exchange information, just keep in touch. And if they're ever in your neck of the woods, they'll know exactly where to go. And that's, I think, how you grow an international brand. But you have to start locally first, you know?
Yeah, you just support my idea that if you stand behind your idea the whole time and work
Exactly, yeah, you
on
stand
it,
behind everything.
it gets international by its way, right? It's not the right...
What is important is believe in yourself. Okay, don't try to open up a place because you want to be international. You open up a place because you think this is going to be my next home, right? And it's going to be my home forever, maybe. And then if you have the opportunity, well, like Steve said, you try to read the geographical aspect of that place, and you be exciting about to say what else I could do, how good I could be, or how bad I could be, you know.
One thing though, I've been to Russia and I talked to a guy who opened a place in a city I have never ever heard of, and he has 500,000 citizens, and he started to drinks with rotor vapor. And I said, okay, what's your goal? I was like, I'm gonna distill this one and that one and that one. I said, okay, what's the size of the city? I said 500,000 people. I said, okay, what's the culture of drinking? Oh, well, man, they're drinking beer and vodka. And I was like, okay, why would you do a bar that operates with rotor vapor in a city that no one knows what a cocktail word means? So you can do something like that, but you have to have enormous amount of passion and a shitloads of money. Because then you can make it work. But if you haven't got those two, it's not going to work. So think about the environment, and you can break international very easily.
Yeah, like Employees Only New York is strictly a New York bar for sure. You walk in there, you feel that energy, you see that crowd. You're in New York. It takes you somewhere else. You know, you walk into Singapore, and it's totally an expat bar. You know,
It's
in no way,
Singapore, right?
yeah, in no way do I think people are going to go to Employees Only Singapore and be like, oh my God, this is a Singaporean bar. Not a chance. That's not what I know. That's not who I am.
Same at our place, mate. You go in Sofia, definitely. So I stand behind my team. I'm not a part of the, the people who invest. I'm not a part of the investors. I'm a part of the team, but I truly believe in my team and my investors, actually.
I dig that.
Yeah. Soon you'll hear from us.
Good on you, bro. Cheers.
So, maybe one last question, because the maestro needs to catch his plane and we won't cause him any trouble.
Thank you so much. Hi, guys.
Hey, Hannah.
Hi. So a question, you guys travel all over the world to run the business. So my question to you guys is that how the perception of bartending as a career, professional career, has changed, but also how different from country to country. So Steve, from New York to Singapore, are there any different perception?
In New York at 34, I'm one of the youngest guys on staff. You know, like the head bar, like one of the top, like principal bartenders. I'm like the youngest of everybody. In Singapore, I think I'm the top 5 oldest bartenders in all of Singapore. They look at me like I'm freaking old. Yeah, seriously, it's quite funny actually. I'm like, I can outwork all you kids, but yeah, a lot of the kids I have, in Singapore, they're passionate about the job. Right now, a lot of the bartenders, though, the young ones, it's more of a club kind of thing. They're kind of doing it. They're young. They're learning a trade. But I have a couple members on staff that actually have a clear long-term goal in this industry. And that's where I come in to just mentor them and try to guide them in the right direction. I mentioned this before, when you're guiding apprentices and stuff, I don't want to tell the apprentice exactly what to do. I want to kind of give my advice. Let them figure it out. Figure it out, give them advice. I used this analogy just before when I was answering questions after my first presentation. You know, my good friend, I'm dating some girl, and my good friend's like, she's no good for you, man, she's no good for you. And I'm like, come on, she's great. And then I come back, 3 months later, she broke my heart, man. It's like, no matter how much advice he gave me, and even if I knew it was true, I'm not going to listen. He only give me the advice. I'll take it if I want, and then I'll do whatever I got to do. And that's what I try to be for the younger bartenders that are looking for a long-term career. I make them set a series of short-term goals, all leading to the long-term goal, because that's what worked for me. But I don't tell them exactly what to do and how to do it. I'll just guide them, and they swim themselves.
Okay.
It was a very much
Thank you very much for attending this session, and thank you very, very open. Yeah.
There is always one.
Okay. Okay, you can say that again. No, I can't speak for experience, most probably. I don't know. What about longevity, guys? We are thinking, I feel that today I made practically the foundations of what we are today, right? So how do you see your future? You're talking about your style, your view, vision, or thing, but 20 years from now, your vision maybe is the foundations of your future, you see? So how do you see yourself in 20 years from now?
Hopefully, down to the Amalfi Coast, on the boat, and enjoy the sun. I think, Peter, longevity, guys, whenever you do something, you have to only believe in yourself for what it is today. And you hope that you create the foundation, that foundation is going to be so strong that it will last for 100 years. But you never know the circumstance. You could be the best operator in the world, right? Sometimes you need a bit of luck, right? You need to be creative. You need to create something that everyone, most of the people like. But to say, I'm going to open something that is going to be here for another 100 years, only very few bars that we know have managed to do that, right? Because we never know what tomorrow will bring. And what I'm trying to say to you, whatever you do, think about today and tomorrow, but most of all, my dad used to say, God bless his soul, many years, used to say, think about today, tomorrow God will think for you. So you start to say, okay, I'm going to create something and I'm going to enjoy it as long as it's going to be here. I am a man full of experience. I have opened some incredible place, some that still stand at the time. And they have created, the Duke's Bar, Duke's Hotel, is called longevity. My job, it was to making sure that I create a foundation, like you have done with the American Bar, Peter. But tomorrow, who knows,
I'll tell you, every year, come the New Year's, at least this happens in New York. Yeah, every year it happens, and every year some talentless writer will come up and say, what are the new trends coming up this year, right? Like some uninspired article happens all the time, right? And all the time there's these trends and these gimmicks, there's these tools that come out that, turn juice into something else, vaporize and whatever the hell you want to call it. All these little gimmicks that are fun are cool in and of itself. I don't see any longevity in that, though. One of my favorite bars in the world, I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, it's called the American Bar at the Savoy. Why on earth have they been so successful for so long? They skip all the gimmick stuff. They just put good stuff in a glass with impeccable service. And that stuff will never, ever, ever be a trend or go out of style. That's going to last forever. So I try to model my style of working with that sort of assumption. I want to grow old and retire and not have to worry about anything. How am I going to get there? By providing bartenders that know to provide great service and a great drink as fast as they freaking can. Because everyone's always going to love a busy bar that has a great atmosphere, and that's never, ever going to go out of style. I'll tell you, a freaking carbonized whatever the hell will go out of style real quick before somebody just laughing and having a good time. So,
I think what we have to actually preserve here is the longevity of our trades. Because one bar can make 100 years, 150 years, but I believe we are at the point of tipping. Because I see less and less humble people working behind the bar, and I see more arrogant pricks serving me drinks. And sooner or later, I'm not going to be interested in your arrogant tools and your arrogancy, giving me a gin tonic the way you want it and not I want it. So, yeah, longevity, I think it should go down to being very, very humble and think about what you do and why you're doing it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
To follow up on that, speaking of being humble, the moment you think anyone really gives a shit, the people that you're serving gives a damn about you, Yeah, that's when you got to change your stuff. It's about the people you're serving. It's not about the person serving. Obviously, take pride in your work, carry yourself like a champ, and you'll garner that respect just by that. You know. You don't have to tell people.
I only have one thing to say to you guys. Love what I do, and that it is what you all love, the art of bartending. That means use your smile, give it the greatest welcome that you can ever encounter, because it's true. Arrogancy, it should not be part of our world, because the people come to our place to have a good time, to forget what, whatever the problem he had. Because a bar is one of the greatest theater that there is, and it's a social place. It's a social home. Look at our old man there. Can you stand up, old man? Peter Dorelli, he always said, living legend. It is a living legend, because he's been doing this for 54 years, and he still goes behind the bar and picks the shaker and makes sure that our shaker is his musical instrument. That means he gives a passion. There is one thing that he always says when he walks into a bar: I feel the soul of the bar. What I will suggest to give it the biggest longevity in any bar is to create that soul. And then people will come and see you.
Yeah. I just remembered a little analogy I use a lot when it comes to being humble and just dealing with shit, is that I consider myself the monkey with the fez and the cymbals. As long as they keep winding me up, I'm just gonna keep clapping away. Just
Yeah, but the problem is he keeps them winding on.
Just do what you gotta do. But thank you all very much.
Okay.
Thank you.